let's use our example and continue with our presentation. So method call requires object reference and method name and some arguments. Right here we have examples of method calls that we used with the scanner object. So the scanner has these methods built into this object, nextInt, and the other one that we use is nextLine, and those are examples of these methods. There are also plenty of other methods. You can actually get a pretty good idea by simply typing scanner dot, and you see that in NetBeans it brings up this list of all sorts of methods that are available, and you typically expect something like this from an object which was defined as a data type in Java library, so it comes with a lot of useful methods which are procedures that allow you to execute certain tasks. So as you step through this list, you can see that you can click around here and it will give you an explanation of what it's doing. So of course it does look a little bit overwhelming, but in reality you always just need a few useful things, and you just suspect that, okay, this object's supposed to help me to get user input from the keyboard, so what are the methods to do this? And you just narrow your search to these specific methods and you make a decision what you want to use. Of course, if you're developing some kind of commercial software package which is supposed to be bulletproof and very reliable, of course you need to dig a little bit deeper and find out more details about important details about the existing objects that you could use in your project. Let me just get rid of this. But these are examples of methods. Pretty standard methods that we use here are nextDouble, nextInt, like this, and similar. You can see that creation of the scanner object, which we use pretty successfully, requires two parts. We need to have an import statement. Okay, so we just need to import it. We need to tell the compiler where exactly this project is located in Java library. This is our responsibility. We need to provide this import statement. And then we can use the new operator to create new copy or new instance of this class, which is an object in memory. And then we can use methods to do something useful with it. So these are examples of import statements. Sometimes you can do something like this, and it would go ahead and import all sorts of classes from this package in Java library, but I wouldn't recommend it. In fact, if I save it and try to use our friend fix imports, yeah, it ignores it. So, but I mean, again, this would not be my choice to import the entire set of classes. It's just simply doesn't look right to me because I'm using only one class from this specific package, and it's just not right. So I'll just press Ctrl-Z to undo this change. But it can be done this way as well, like a wildcard import of all classes, and then you're free to use all of them. Okay, so some information about the import statement right here. Since I told you that you should be placing all of your source files in a certain package, the package statement at the top tells the compiler or clarifies to the compiler that this source file belongs to this package. So packages allow us to create components of our software and organize it. For example, to store classes that would deal with user interface, with some sort of business rules, with mathematical computations, with database. So normally you would have separate packages for all of these task-oriented classes. But one important thing to note is that the package statement has to be at the very top of this. So you cannot move it down here. And then the import statements also must follow the package statement. So you cannot have your import statements at the bottom of the file. So it's just the order of things. Package statement, then import statements, then everything else that you would like to have in your source file. So Java language package contains classes that are used in most applications, and an example of that is a string class. The lang or language package is imported automatically. We don't have to say import Java lang, because that's just the way every program is written, is that the language package is imported automatically. So in summary, a package is a collection of related classes, like a component or subsection of our software. Class contains methods and data attributes. We'll be adding data attributes to our classes at some point. And method designs encapsulates rather statements that implement a specific task. So here, of course, we have only one method, which is main method, and it does all of these manipulations. System out we've been using all along, and here we have an example of print line and print. So print does not insert new line automatically, and print line does so at the end of the output. So system out is simply an object that represents console output. Likewise, system in, similar to system out, represents standard input, which is by default attached to the user keyboard. There's also printf method, formatted print output, but we'll have a chance to explore it when we talk a little bit more about strings and taking care of text manipulation. So we've described roughly functionality of the scanner class. You remember that it manages input buffer of characters from the keyboard and constructs meaningful tokens or meaningful parts of input, assembles them into something that the scanner can understand, and then converts these parts of user input into actual internal data types, integers, doubles, and all other types, including string. So these are examples of using the scanner with import and the new operator, which actually physically creates the object. Examples of Java packages, just like Java util, where the scanner is residing. There's plenty of others, and we will have a chance to use a lot of these, but at this point just be aware that there is a huge library that comes with Java, and it's amazing that you can use all of this code that was already written for us, and just out of the shelf you can start using all sorts of very useful things. We've already demonstrated the use of the scanner class and creation of the scanner object. I would like to disambiguate this just one more time. The scanner, this is the name of the class. Somewhere inside this library there is a public class named scanner, and it defines everything that scanner does internally. And of course, when we say object is something that is created in computer memory by using the new operator. In other words, if you import scanner, this is not object creation. This is just information to the compiler that we would like to start using this class. Class is just a prototype of an object which describes its memory layout and all of the methods that come with it. But the object, something that we can finally start using, is constructed by the new operator. And this is why we say new scanner. At this point, when this is done, we get our object, and this is object reference, right? So this reference points to the location of the new object. Plenty of tutorials. You can use Google search and YouTube search for all sorts of tutorials online if you'd like to get more information. And of course, these are the methods that I mentioned already to use with the scanner. As we move along with the rest of topics this semester, we'll have plenty of opportunities to discover the functionality of these methods. And just to mention on this slide that the new operator uses the name of the class, in our case, the library class right here. And we say that the new operator invokes a method named class constructor. So constructor is a special method which configures and initializes the object as soon as it's allocated and placed somewhere in memory. The important role of the constructor is that it can take input parameters. And of course, for the scanner, it's important to know what type of input should it be using in its operations. Alternatively, the scanner could be attached to an open file, so you can use the scanner to get information from a file, or you can use the scanner to get information from a network connection. In our case, we use system in, which is by default attached to the keyboard input. And finally, static methods. Once again, we still use main, and it needs to be static because unlike methods such as nextInt or other methods that we use with the scanner right here, like nextLine here and here, these methods require a reference to an object. Static methods do not require these references. They can be used separate from any object. And of course, main is a very special type of method that needs to be called from outside of our application. So naturally, it just has to be static because it's not associated with any specific objects. So more on this topic in the future, but it's just to recognize that there could be static parts of classes which are just putting things on the sideline outside of any object. So we'll have a chance to discuss this more in the future.